Hey, this is Brett Green, and we're going to continue on our series about the intellifi products. The last video was the 101 product where we described the intellifi user interface and created an actual demo that showed transitions. So this is really, really nice, and that's what you see here. Today what we're going to talk about is the Brain API. Like, how do we get under the covers and actually use this in an application? This is very nice, but this isn't going to be the application that you're going to write and use in-house. So let's take a look at what that actually is. The intellifi Brain Web API is based on REST architecture, also known as RESTful, and it's representational state transfer. So it's a resource-based representation of things. So what are the intellifi things? Well, we have items, which are tags, sets, which are groups of tags, locations, which are configurable, completely configurable. It can be based on antennas and spots or any combination of each. We have presences that is a live detection of any particular item, and there could be multiple presences because there can be multiple readers that can see a particular tag at any given time. And of course, as we talked about before, the Brain software figures that out for you about which one is actually closer. So it'll set that location for you. The subscription information is great, and we'll have a separate video on that. Subscriptions allow you to subscribe to events. So you can go out and say, hey, send me all the events that are just move events, and send them to this particular URL or this particular IP address on this port, and then you can open up an application and just receive all that data that's coming in. Very, very powerful. We have events, which can be all kinds of things. It can be a move. It could be a proximity change, a create or delete. Then we have services. And as I mentioned before, all of the data that's coming back is in an industry standard format called JSON. And JSON is JavaScript object notation. So it is an industry standard for transmitting data on the web, and we'll take a look in detail at that. But in order to get Google Chrome, which is what I use, to format everything properly, we need to add a little application to Google Chrome, a extension that will allow it to format all the data. So I would recommend going out to Google Chrome, opening up the App Store, and pulling this down. And I can show you real quick what we would need to do to get that, make that happen. I have my home page set up to Chrome://apps. I can go to the web store, and we can search on JSON view. It's going to come back with several hits about JSON, but this one is the one we want, and it says it's already added to mine, which is it in fact has, but I would recommend doing that so everything gets formatted properly. Alright, so once we're there, let's go take a look at the actual Brain API and what this is. So the way you're going to query the Brain for information is by typing in or putting in your application, your web app, a URL. In this case, it's https:// brain host is the actual address of your Brain, /API / a resource, and remember, these are the resources, literally, items, sets, locations, spots, presences. You can type that in. .format, which is rarely used because normally everything's coming back in a JSON format, but if you wanted to, you could type .csv or .txt and actually get a download of all the information that's coming back in these formats. And then a slash in your ID, and this would be starting with one of these, and then you can add attributes as well to narrow things down. So here's an example of what it could look like. https://brain.intellifi.nl would be your Brain host, /API / items. We can also, once you log into the Brain server using the credentials that were talked about in the last video, your key will get cached in your system and you won't have to use this. But if you had your own system, you would want to include your key in the application so that no one else can bother what you're doing. Of course, it's encrypted. So this is how we can do security with the intellifi products. So if I copy this and flip over to my browser, Come over here to a page, and as you can see, I've been playing. And put in brain.intellifi.nl API items. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. We get back information on all of the items that are on the system. So this count right here, well, we have query time. This is what we just typed in. We have query time, and that's from South Carolina to Europe and back. We have the time now. We have a count, which is all of the items that are actually out there in the system, 25,958. We have a current count, and we have this value called isLimitedTrue. So we can talk about this right now. IsLimitedTrue means we're going to limit the amount of data that's actually coming back to the first 100, and then there's a next URL that would go to the next 100. So I could click on this, and you'll notice this value here is going to decrement each time because we've already seen 100 of them. So now it's 25,858. Click on it again, 25,758, and so on. So if we wanted to change that number, we can do that very simply by typing a question mark after items and limit equal 5. That's going to bring back only 5 items instead of 100, so we can change the amount of data that's actually coming back just by using this limit command. So we can go down here, all of these items, these attributes, count, current count, time, ID, code hex, technology, label, all of these things are queryable, as you will see as we move forward in the demo, which makes it extremely powerful, especially when you add in the chronologically created unique ID addresses for every single thing in the system and the time values that it's created. All right, so let's dig into this a little bit deeper. Let's go back over here to the presentation and take a look at some examples that we could do. So as I mentioned, after API, we can do items, we can do locations, we can do presences, we can do any of the items that are in this list right here. We can query on. So I just did locations. What if I wanted to go out and find, I just did items, but we'll do locations here. Let's do that real quick. Flip back over to the web, and we'll type in brainintellify.com as our address, API locations, and press enter. And now we get all of the locations that have been created on the system in the demo sandbox. The count is 671, and our current count is 100. We described that before, and here's the location information that's coming back, the ID and the label, multi 389, spot 762. So if I wanted to go out and find my spot or information on just my spot, and I know the label information or I know the ID, I can search on that. So in this case, I can flip back over here, and spot 447 is a tile that's sitting in my office and running right now. So I can click on that and find this particular spot. Now, just as an example, I can copy this information here. That's the ID, and I could change this to ID equals, and I'm going to get the exact same thing back. So I can query on any of these items. We can also go out and look at presences. This is the same format, except it's going to have presences at the end, and this is going to show all of the different presences that we see. This is a proximity, a tag that's out there that is far away. Here's some that are near, far, immediate. These values are configurable in the Brain software like we had talked about in the last video. So those are presences. So I can also use a keyword called populate to bring back more information along with the presence information. So if we flip back over here and look at this, this is all the presence information we get on each particular presence. Not a lot of information out there. There's nothing about the tag specific. There's no hex code. There's no nothing. It's just coming back with this. So we can add additional information to that query by using the word populate and then the items that we're looking for. So we have populate equal item and location. So that's going to bring back item and location information along with presences. So take a look at this. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines here. And if I add populate equal item and location, I'm going to get back a lot more data on every particular item and locate every particular presence. So as you can see here, we have item and location information along with the presence information. So now we can query on all these things. So we could add a query looking for just that with a particular EPC code, for instance, or an ID for an EPC code. And we'll take a look at that as well. So here's where we're getting fancy. If I wanted to find out all the tags that are present under my spot right now, I can use the word populate. I can bring back item and location information and then say location equals, and this is the location, the ID for my spot. So I can just copy this, come over here and paste it. And this is going to bring back all of the tags that my spot can see right now. It's actually a tile. So if I come over here to the intellifi software, it's the same stuff, it's just a front end for it. I should be able to filter on 447, and I'm getting 30 presences at right now. But you see these changing. That's because tags are falling in and out of the field. So if I come back over here, I can run this query again, and at any given time, they're going to match. So I can run it again and probably get a different value. 31 this time, 32 the next time. So this is a snapshot in time. So now you understand what's happening under the covers of how this is actually working. So we can get into a little bit more complicated things. If we wanted to find a particular EPC, we can use the populate command to bring back information on an item and add a particular hex code. So let's go see if we can find where in the world this EPC is. Flip back over here, type this into the URL, press enter, and it's going to bring me back information about this particular EPC. And if you'll notice, it's one in my office and it's attached to Brett's tile. This is the label for my tiles. My tile, which is called the host name of spot 447. So those are both one and the same. We go back over here, I can also use a dot attribute under items and location to bring back less information. It'll bring back only the label information as opposed to all of the information associated with that. So I can show that example. So here I have populate equal item.label and location.label. So there's a lot less information coming back if you wanted to do that, to not have all that information flowing. And you can see here this information on my spot, 447. And then lastly, we can also query on time values and also all of the IDs that are created on the system are chronologically created. So you can query on time or you could query on IDs. You can say everything, in this case, since yesterday, but you could also say everything since that new tag was created, for instance. So we can query on time. Let's flip over and do that, and we'll. So here it is. Queried on time. This is all of the tags that have been seen. These are presences in my office since yesterday. So we've seen 31 tags since yesterday. So there you go. So let's take a look at some of the other keywords that we can query on, and a few of these we've already done. We can query before and after a particular time. We can do before and after IDs, and as I mentioned, these IDs that are generated for everything in the system are chronological. We can do from until, so you could take out slices of time. We can do from until IDs, which is also since this particular ID, from when this one was created to when this one was created. We can do ID only, which is only going to bring back the ID information. We can do results only, which is only going to bring back the results. And as you can see here in this field, this is the actual syntax that you would use. We can also sort information. We can sort by ID. That's the default, but you can sort by a lot of things. In this count, it's saying sort by the negative move count and the technology. So that's actually going to flip it around and sort it from high to low and sort it by technology, which is either going to be Bluetooth or Gen 2. We can populate, which we've talked about, which brings back more information, and we can limit, which we've talked about. So how would we actually put this into practice? we wanted to create a web page that's going to be practical and actually bring back this information, these slices in time. This is a very simple example of some JavaScript and HTML that's going to do that. I realize you can't read this. I'm going to show you this in actual practice, but I wanted to prove the point, or show the point, that this is it. That's the entire file. That's all the code. So if we come over here and look at it, this is the code in the text editor. We have some HTML here at the top, then some JavaScript, which very simply goes out and receives the JSON information. It parses it out and formats it correctly. It goes out and pulls the pieces that we want, like the dot time now, and that matches the JSON information that's coming back, dot count, dot label, and dot ID. So it's going to go out and get the time, the count, the whole count, the label information, and the ID of a particular tag. And this is going to put it in a table, and then this is the website that we're going to go out, or the URL that we're going to go out and query. And this is all we've been doing today. This is going out, it's going to pull out locations, and I actually have the key embedded here for the demo software. So this, you could, if you were using this yourself, you would have a key for your particular instance of the Brain software. So that's it. Very simple. So let's go out and run this and see what happens. This is the actual file that we were just looking at, so I'm just going to double click on it. And here are all the tag results that are coming back. We have the time, the count, the label information, and then the ID for each one of these items that came back. So you could very easily use this to create an application that's going out and pulling data. We'll talk about subscriptions later. Those are really cool because you don't have to poll. It's just going to automatically dump them to you. So that'll be in the next video. I hope you've enjoyed this one. That's it for today. If you want to get some more information, you can go out to https://github.com/intellifi/webapi-doc and get a lot of detailed help information on the actual Brain software. So thank you very much for hanging in there. As you can tell, I'm very excited about this product. I think it's pretty awesome. So thanks again. Have a good one.